Go blend some. All right, I've got a great recipe for you today. This is one that I started making a couple years ago. Super easy, super decadent. It tastes like something you pick up at a really nice restaurant, but it's a cream of asparagus soup. Now, if you don't like asparagus, you got a couple choices. One, you can just turn off the video because you're not going to like it. Or two, you can replace the asparagus with broccoli. That also works with broccoli, and of course you can always throw a little bit of cheddar in there to make it a broccoli cheddar soup. Really simple, really easy. So we're going to start out. Ingredients we have today: salt, pepper, I have chicken broth, and then I have a half cup of cream, and then I've got a 1/8 teaspoon of onion powder, and again for the salt and pepper I'll use the 1/8 teaspoon of that as well. Now I started with asparagus, 1.5 pounds of asparagus, and so I just steam it in here. The great thing about the asparagus is this. I mean, you can see it's got a little bit of it's pretty done. You don't have to get it that done if you don't want to, but it's all going to be pureed anyway, obviously, into a soup, so it doesn't really matter. But you know, your stalk, your really tough part that even once it's cooked is still kind of tough, it doesn't matter. You're going to cook all that up. So to start with, what I'm going to do though is I'm going to take a couple of those asparagus spears out. I'm going to take, let's say, 3, because I'm going to use that at the end for some texture. So I'm just going to use the spears. So let's do 4. All right, so grab a knife. So I'm just going to cut the spears off, all right, at the very end, the very soft part. And we're going to use that a little bit later just for some texture, all right? So here's how we load it. It's not complicated at all. So I put the rest of the asparagus cooked. Now it's still warm because I just cooked this. And that's it. Now for my broth, I'm using a chicken stock. You can use vegetable stock, and that's what I was going to say. I've got a 1.5 cups of vegetable, chicken broth. I keep saying that. This is chicken broth, but if you want to use vegetable stock, you can, obviously. Then I use a 1/2 cup of cream. Now, if you're vegan, or if you're somebody that just likes to stay away from dairy because it causes you issues, if you're intolerant or just sensitive, I use cashew cream a lot. And the cashew cream, the great thing about the cashew cream is it's really easy to make. So in a high-powered blender like a Vitamix, Blendtec, one of those, you can take 1 cup of cashews, 1 cup of water, blend that up, and that's going to give you obviously a couple of cups of your cream, your cooking cream. You use it the same as you would a heavy whipping cream. It will not make whipped cream, but you can use it in your recipes like this. So you're just going to use a 1/2 cup of that, put it in a jar, keep it in your fridge. You can use it for various recipes. You can even use it to make ice cream. I do that all the time at home. So there's that. Then I'm going to use a 1/8 teaspoon of onion powder. Pick that up anywhere, grocery store, dollar store, anywhere. I also sometimes, if I've got some around, I'll just take a little bit of onion and I'll throw it in there in the pot with my asparagus when I steam it, and just let it soften it up a little bit, just a little bit, maybe a little ring, one small slice, that's it. But if you don't always have onion around, it's great to have onion powder because it just gives a little more savory. I'm gonna use 1/8 teaspoon of salt, 1/8 teaspoon of pepper. And of course, those are all subject to taste, whatever you want, right? It's all about your preference, how you want to make it. That's it, pretty simple. Now this is going to be enough to serve a couple of people, 2 to 3 people, depending on how much of your meal this is. Super simple. Now this model that I'm using here has a soup setting, and if I put that on the soup setting and press start, it's going to run for 5 minutes and 45 seconds. When it turns off, if you start with room temperature ingredients, it'll be hot. I'm not going to do it that way because everybody doesn't have automatic settings. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually go to manual. I'm just going to turn it on. get everything moving, and then I'm gonna go up to high speed. And here, because I've used, I knocked the chill off, I kind of warmed up my broth a little bit, and then my asparagus was just cooked, so everything in there is fairly warm. The only thing that's kind of cool would be my cream. So I'm only gonna have to run this for about a minute. About like I would a smoothie, because most of my ingredients are already warm. It won't take as much time to build up that friction heat. All right, that should be good. So there's our cream of asparagus soup. Pretty simple, right? Now again, if I started with a little bit cooler ingredients, I'm gonna need to run that longer. You can always tell by feeling. And of course, once I lift the top off, you'll see a little bit of steam coming out there, so it's just gonna be perfect eating temperature. So there's my bowl, and here's how you serve it. I take it, and that little bit of asparagus that I kept out, the spears in tender pieces, I throw that in there. And then I just pour it right over. Take a look at that. You can see just a little bit. It's just to give it some texture. That's all we're doing. Pour it right over that. There you go. And just for a little color, if you want to take a little bit more pepper and just garnish it a little bit, kind of give a little extra. Let's see how that tastes. Nice, easy meal. And again, if you want to, it is lacking nothing if you make it with the cashew cream and vegetable broth instead of the chicken broth. You can make it like that and it's just as decadent, just as delicious. That's a good lunch right there. So, go try to make it. Again, if you don't like asparagus, say you hate asparagus. This is really tasty. This might actually change your mind about asparagus because it's so good. But try it with broccoli. Do the same thing with broccoli. Instead of using the asparagus, use the broccoli. Try it for yourself. It's great, but again, what's great about this is we know what's in it because we made it right here in just a matter of a couple of minutes. So go make something for yourself and just go blend some. Hey, if you like what you see, if you're enjoying getting something out of these recipes and you're trying these things out, do me a favor and hit subscribe. Thanks a bunch.